U ove 4 dana gledamo sve skupa 8 naslova, u 7 i u 9 i pol. Naravno, u nadi da nas neće uloviti kiša, jer sad smo do zadnjeg trena vijećali hoćemo li ići vani ili ne. Ali svi koji žele vidjeti kako to vani izgleda, naravno mogu to nakon projekcije. Večeras naravno imamo posebnu čast i prigodu otvoriti Motovu na Rijeci premjernim prikazivanjem filmom Knuckle, odnosno Šaka, te neprocjenjivu mogućnost uvoda i uvida u film redatelja Iana Palmera, koji je ovdje večeras s nama. Welcome.
My name is Ian Palmer. I'm from Ireland, Dublin, and this is a feature film that's showing here tonight. It's called Knuckle, and I made the film over 12 years. And the film is about Irish traveller families who are the Irish native equivalent of gypsy families, and it's about the relationship between 3 families and how they feud and how they fight and how they have arranged fights between the families to resolve the feuds. That's what the film's about.
12 years, it's a very long period. Were you afraid in any point of time that maybe when you finish doing this movie it won't be as good as you hoped, and then you like wasted 12 years?
Yeah, well, when I started the film, it was more like a 3-year project. But at the end of 3 years, I had no funding, and so I had no end point. So that really, the advantage is I could do what I wanted, but the disadvantage is I could do it for as long as I wanted, so I kept going. There were reasons why I kept going. At one stage I was stopped filming something I wanted to film, and that would have been the resolution to the film after 3 or 4 years. But because I was stopped doing that, I kept going and I kept looking for a different kind of resolution. And that led me really to have a film which followed the life cycle of 2 men, 2 brothers, one from 18 years old. I met him at his wedding, and that's the start of the film. And by the end of the film, he's 30 years old, and he's got his children and his young son he introduces onto the camera at 1 week old as the next potential big fighter in his family. Of course, you know, I lost momentum many times over 12 years, and at various times, all I had was, you know, 100 or 200 tapes in a box underneath my bed in my spare bedroom at home. But you know, something happened eventually which made me want to finish the film, and it's at the end of the film. It was a conflict between the families which allowed me to have a kind of a circle and a resolution. So eventually I found an end, but there were many times which I thought I never would. I met a family which is related to these brothers who I ended up filming, and I was exploring another type of film, a historical film, using photographs on archive to tell their story over the previous 100 years. And one of the girls was getting married, and they invited me to go along and shoot some video at the wedding. And I said, I'll shoot some video if you let me maybe use the video for a future film project. And the man she was getting married to was called Michael Quinn McDonough, and his older brother I met at the wedding too, James. And these 2 brothers I then discovered were involved in this bare knuckle fist fighting. So I met them, and then they invited me a few weeks later to watch James and film James training. So they invited me into this hidden culture. I really didn't know anything about it, and I didn't set out initially to do anything in terms of filming. I just went along really to have an experience, to see what it was like, to explore it personally. And once I did experience it for the first time in November in 1997, I was really hooked, and I was determined to make a film about this. And it was quite difficult because it's a hidden secret, part of a very hidden secret of people in Ireland. But they invited me in, and once they invited me in, they really couldn't get rid of me.
Is this ethnic group connected with the movie Snatch?
Snatch really shows, yeah, Snatch is a fictional portrait. Brad Pitt plays a traveller in Snatch, and he's a traveller who has fights, bare knuckle fist fights. So it's, yeah, Snatch is a fictionalisation of it, but it's not the real thing. Travellers are native in Ireland. They're similar in lifestyle and the kind of work they do and the place in society that gypsies have throughout Europe, but they're native to Ireland. They can trace their roots back maybe 1,000 years, and they were nomadic originally and then started to settle the mid-20th century, and they mainly settled in houses and what we call trailers, which would be caravans, or they call trailers. They're settled there now, but they really have a type of nomadic lifestyle as well. The men go out and work and travel around, whatever they're doing, trade in markets. They really are would be traders, but they're ethnically Irish. There's about 25,000 travellers in Ireland, and they're about the same number in the UK. And they've been under pressure for decades to settle and to integrate into mainstream society, but it hasn't happened. They marry within their own family circles, in arranged marriages. I don't see it dying out as a culture. I think it'll change all right, but I think it'll endure as a culture. They're a very resilient people, although they're all the time under pressure to change and to become something they're not.